Welcome everybody, welcome to another lesson on the physics of our flat earth. This video is going to be called Why We Believe in a Globe. Why is there a globe compared to the flat earth design? And so what prompted me to do this video is because I just saw another clip of Simon Dan's going on about the 24-hour sun, the final experiment. And you know, it's quite frustrating knowing you know how it works and all that, and everyone ignores you because they just don't get it. So I thought this video I'll do one relating the globe theory to the flat earth theory. Why there is a globe. It's quite clever actually, and in a lot of ways it's quite relevant, but at the end of the day it's just it's all based on the toroidal field, not the actual flat plane of Earth. The 2D, well, it comes from the 2D, but it's fixed and stationary. It's the neutral zone between the two forces of nature, between a well, they've got me thinking now, because I used to say between the North and the South Pole, but now I've discovered that the tropical gap is locked between the two South Poles. So anyway, I'll try and describe it all to you and see what you think. If you like this sort of thing, put a thumbs up, and don't forget to share, because this channel's gone nowhere and I can't be bothered playing around on YouTube anymore. So if you really want the information, you have to go over to my Patreon site. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, but if you want to search out the truth, that's where you need to go, because no one else on the internet is telling you what I'm telling you. No one knows what I know. Yeah, am I big-headed? Maybe, but it's a fact. I've never seen anybody. They're only repeating what I'm saying now. Okay, so understanding the flat earth design, we basically live inside this toroidal field. So we have a centre north, sits up in here, and then you have the southern hemisphere around it. There's a tropical gap between it. So I've drawn it like this, and basically all this southern hemisphere is all mirrored out from the north. So no matter where you are in the south, your sky is moving around this way, all the way around there. But you don't know it's going all the way around there. You're only on one meridian line. You're just seeing your system go like this. Unless you track a star on a star tracker and watch it go out of your horizon all the way to the west, in from the east all the way to the west. Otherwise your star trail photography centers on the circle if you stay focused on this north to south meridian. Okay, so this is our system here. As the center north turns, so do all the southern hemisphere. Just like this, all mirrored out, see? Gets to a point they're in alignment. That's basically where you'll see the sun, because these Milky Ways, the sun is tucked into the Milky Way. So you watch it move around like this. So don't just focus on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're infinite. You could be anywhere on a meridian from south and north to south. So this point here lines up wherever you are at midday, basically. Okay? So these points are always marrying up all the way around as the sun moves around our flat earth system. Bingo. Bingo. Sun, sun, sun. This is why the Egyptians say the sun is in many places but only seen in one. Well, you're only seeing it there. See your alignment. He's not seeing it on his alignment. It's gone by him. He's seen it go down on his west coast. This guy's seeing it coming around onto his east coast. Infinite. Always moving. Okay? Now, because man is on his one meridian, that's basically the centre of his universe. He looks out from the centre of his universe, and who tells you that? The physicists of today tell you it's like man is looking out from the centre of the universe. And he is. So there's your north to south, okay? North to south. And everything moves around the southern hemisphere, everything moves around the northern hemisphere. So as this turns, they come around, bang, there's your sun. But this is forever moving. Bang, sun, the sun, bang, 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 bang. Because it's not a physical object. It's an optical object. It's a focal point in the energy field, and it's only created at this point between the two fields, right there. As in the Pisces sign. That's the magnetic induction taking place to show the electrical. This is where the free power is when you use magnets. Nigel Cheese knows all about this. And there's the pyramid of the changing field over the year. Moves up, so it's always on that line. In the northern hemisphere, it's down here, and all down and out is the December solstice. So it's all out here. It's all around here. Now, we have to understand the North and the South Pole. Now, think about it. No one's really thought about it. Your science has told you the dip compass dips at both poles, both Arctics. Well, they didn't really. They kept it a bit of a secret, but you find it online now. I've brought it up enough times, so they have to reveal the truth once it's been exposed. So, initially, they'd only tell you, talk about one. That was the northern one, then they'd change the subject. But no, I knew straight away. I mean, it's obvious. Both Arctics are the same. They're both cold. They both got ice. Both high pressure. The dip compass dips at both of them. So they tell you the magnetic field's strongest at both poles and weakest at the equator. So hang on, you think, well, if it's strong there, weak here, then this must be the opposite to there. Well, that's a no-brainer. So what are the opposites of the North and South Pole? So whether you call those South Poles or North Poles, up to you, but they're North Poles, both Arctics are North Poles. Come into the South Pole. But then you dig deeper and realise, well, magnetic field is stronger there, virtually weak, very weak, nothing happening at the equator, and then you find out, hey, we've got a tropical gap. And we see the two star rotations with this gap, just a bit like this. You come to find with esoteric ancient scripture, there is, well then you look at the physics as well, capacitance and magnetic induction, two south poles on each tropical line. So you got Capricorn and Cancer, south poles. That's how it works in capacitance. Go look it up in your science books. Magnetic induction, north poles, south poles. We see this cycle going like this. And here it is here. There's your northern hemisphere, or going around this way. And there's your southern hemisphere going around that way. Well, there's the centre north, right? Centre of the flat earth. Right in there. Wow, that'd be a bit strong there wouldn't the magnetic field converge there and be very strong? Strong force, weak force. If you want to look at it that way. So if everything's mirrored out, that's the dead centre. Well, obviously that's going to have to be the same as this. And it is. That's where they tell you the South Pole is. 66.6 degrees north. North Pole. Look. So, if this is the North Pole here, which I've written there already, North Pole, it's mirrored, there's the North Pole. And the dip compass dips there and it dips there. So if that's the North Pole, then obviously south is going to be all the way around here. South. 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 And same here. North in the centre. South. 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 It's quite easy to understand, isn't it? Right at this point is where we get the sun. Where we get the image of the sun. And that point, this point here, is all the way around actually, because these circles are infinite. So the sun is always moving around here through magnetic induction or capacitance between these two fields. This is why we have the gap, two souths. Otherwise, if that was a north pole and that was a south pole, or vice versa, then they'll just find equilibrium. Nothing would exist. It'd all go to a state of rest. Because all through nature, everything wants to seek rest, find equilibrium. But it can't, because it all boils back to the black hole of avoidance. Everything spins towards it and then spins around it. So you have to realize what's happening here is this magnetic field from the north races to the south here, but it actually wants to seek the strong force in here, because this is a weak force, this is a strong force, both north poles. But because this is a bigger field, more broadly dispersed, it's the weaker field. All the energy out here is equal to the energy in here. There always has to be a weak force and a strong force. So this weak force wants to get over to here, and that strong force wants to find balance to release and go to the weak force to find balance. And there's a time of the year where they do find balance. But you have to go to my Patreon to find out about all that. So, understanding the two hemispheres. And you're always on this one meridian. So this is one man's perspective. There's this northern hemisphere. There's the southern hemisphere. That's it. Now, how convenient is it that we have a globe model? One northern hemisphere, one southern hemisphere on his meridian. This is how everybody sees everything. And this is the easiest way for them to basically model everything. Is to imagine this. But at the end of the day, they always draw us inside at this point here. Inside there, like all celestial navigation, all comes back to the centre of their globe. Why is that? Because man's arc of horizon, he is always standing here 90 degrees to zenith, so everything's coming off him. That's how he reads the stars. So they give you this model here. There's your northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. And every man only sees this. That's his arc of horizon. Hope you can see that. I'll draw another one. I'll draw you just man's arc of horizon. So you get a halfway point there. That's man's arc of horizon. He's always standing here 90 degrees to zenith. See, everything comes perpendicular off that arc. And that's how modern physics has us in their model here. We're always standing at the centre in here, when really you're just in there. Because we don't see night and day together, or you know, you're under your observation point, which is on your meridian. So if you're in the southern hemisphere, you know, you face your camera towards the north, you get all this coming over your head. If I'm in the southern hemisphere, and I'll see a little bit of the northern horizon star cycle. I can see both cycles with this gap. Okay, so understanding we're all on this meridian, we only see this as the observer, so it's quite convenient that we have this globe model. So they draw everything in here. And at the end of the day, see the fields coming in towards the Tropic of Cancer? This is the north. Oh, yeah, well, the Antarctic. Antarctic is all the way around here. Okay, all the way around. Out here. Not around in here. There's the Antarctic all the way around. Antarctic ice shelf. All the way around that far point. Way up there. Opposite to the North Pole. Look, there's the north and all the ice is around up in here in the middle. And there it is. Projected out there. So this is where you've got to think deep. Start thinking of the toroidal field. A torus field. Inversion. Inverted. It's a funny old realm. And I think they just found it easier to explain it here. You see, everything comes back to a point here. But at the end of the day, you've got that little part here, and it all comes out of here, all the energy. They tell you it comes out of here, but it does. It comes out of both. Remember, the dip compass points in at both ends here. But small centre, everything comes out of that Arctic, and then you've got the wider southern hemisphere. But they bring it all back in. Remember, everything comes around like this on their globe theory. Not like that either. Oh no, they do draw it like that, don't they? They draw it in like that. That's not following the magnetic field. And then this, well, so they draw it like that on their ball, right? But in reality, it's all curving around like this. You'll see it in their wind. The magnetic field is in the wind. So it's all passing through like this. Everything comes out like that. That's how we see the celestial bodies moving through the sky through here, right? Because these magnetic points here. There's no declination within the tropics here, and this guy here, he's telling you there's declination in the tropics. Might get a little bit coming over the boundary line, but that's where you get the doldrums in here. And this is why they tell you get a direct south to north or north to south bearing, compass bearing. But out here you cover following these curved magnetic field lines of 11 degrees. Okay? And then that guy, this guy here, Dave McKeegan, when he started just showing these toroidal field, he showed the toroidal field in one of his videos. He said, I got no idea what these curved lines are. He's trying to tell us he knows nothing about the Coriolis or curved linear coordinate system. Or, you know, you see that in their meteorology. The ancient Egyptians tell us the magnetic field is in the wind. So this is how we see it. There's your top of the northern hemisphere. There's your southern hemisphere. There's your northern hemisphere. There's your southern hemisphere. It depends on your latitude as to how much you're going to see, right? It works the same way. But there's a lot of things that they don't explain. They don't tell the truth about everything. They don't tell you that there's a celestial cycle of its own in the southern hemisphere and a celestial cycle of its own in the northern hemisphere. There's a moon there and a moon there, and a sun here and a sun here. It all comes off this ecliptic plane, which is the first projection from this point in here. Because right back in here is creation, the vortex of creation unseen to man. Right back in there is the center core. There's the black hole center, and the sun moving around it on its horizon. Inside the Milky Way, there's the ecliptic plane inside the Milky Way. Okay, and that, hidden in there, first state of projection is in this ecliptic plane out here. That's where we see it, into our light spectrum. It's all been exploded out into our 3D realm. So when it's in this space here, it then becomes a projection here and a projection there due to the concave magnetic field lines of the Earth. Look. Because this is the center, Arctic. Arctic. Comes up and over like that. Okay? So you get the image, it's hidden in here. We can't get in there. It comes out here. And you get the light here on a concave mirror. And a concave mirror, because all the magnetic field represents a mirror with all the moisture in the atmosphere. Then that image is going to be cast into here, reflected off this mirror, and brought back to the observer. You get a sun there. This comes back. You get a sun here. We're all led to believe it's just that there. No, we all get our own image. Our own image. Every man gets his own image passing over his arc of horizon. That's the world around him. And then this is on a hole, one side of the Earth to the other. So there's your centre north in here. So you've got to draw your tropical gap in here. Right? So there's the tropical gap there. And there's the tropical gap on this side over here. There's your centre north in there. So then you have to go like this. We'll get rid of all that again. And it breaks down to this. It's like a magnet. Everything breaks down. It even breaks down again from there to there. That's the roaring 40s, or that's your 65 there. That's your 65. 66.6. 66.6. There's your 90. There's your 90. Both hemispheres. There's the Earth. Fixed and stationary. So it takes a bit of thinking, but look what I've come up with here. Look, the dung beetle. Beetle. Till. And look, tilling the ground. And I've been over this before and probably my Patreon about the ploughshare, the pruning hook, and the pomegranate. So if you spiral out like this, go around like that, you've got the ploughshare. You could say there's the ploughshare, the wave of the magnetic field. Here is the pruning hook, and there is the pomegranate. But the pomegranate was referring to all these ones out here. So all these points here, southern hemisphere, all have these here. Because as this turns, that point, this point here is mirrored from here. Bang, pomegranate. Bang, pomegranate. It's always moving. And the mythological stories goes deep, but you'll find that on my Patreon as well. The dung beetle. So till the ground. Till the ground. This going around like this is basically tilling the ground to create this plant, the seed. Plant the seed. Cain, he survived. He's the one who killed Abel, because Abel's the old way, the old dumbbell. Cain was the tiller of the ground. The wise one. BC, till the field. Till. What's this? I've been for a walk and I forget what I've written now. Because till. That's supposed to be because. Till the field. Magnetic field. Okay? Then you got Scarab. The ancient Egyptians described the Scarab beetle. The beetle. Not dung, beetle, but you use dung too sometimes, break it down etymologically. Beetle, dung. But it's Scarab. Look up Scarab, you find caravel connected to Scarab. Equals, means small vessel. Small vessel. Relate that to your black pupil, that's a small vessel, because it's all connected to your eyeballs. Boat. Then you think of the Egyptian solar boat. Okay? What's the solar boat? Well, the sun is tucked into the Milky Way. There's the Milky Ways lining up. There's the boat. I mean, that's the boat. There's the sun. Solar. The solar boat. Ancient Egyptians have left us everything. Understand that. Tilling the ground. Go look up all the etymological meanings of a lot of words. Okay? You go right back to the centre of creation here. It's all about the black hole. Everything comes from the black hole. The 2D plane. Some of you might remember, if you're old enough, you remember the time tunnel. And because that's creation, it's 2D plane that way. Out in our realm, everything becomes 3D up this way. So everything comes up and over our horizon. As it's going around the flat earth system like this, we see it come up and over us like this. Well, the time tunnel had the 2D realm, flat, nothing happening going on there. But then there's all this depth when you look into there. So magnetism, through ferrocell and LED lights all the way around it, you look down, there's all this 3D depth. You think, what the heck? Where'd that come from? It's a 2D plane. But you look down there, there's all this depth. Magical. because magic comes from magnetism. Earth comes from that magic place of nothingness. I mean, that pains a lot of religious people, thinking they came from nothing. But it's all divine. If you understand the whole story, it's all very divine, godly. But you need to understand the system. Don't be ignorant. Go deep. Understand it. 2D plane. Everything comes from the 2D plane. In the center of the 2D plane is the black hole. And the first off the rank is the sun, going around the horizon of the black hole. Then you've got the other planets further out. Okay? Further out. But it's all hidden way back in the center here. Dropping a pebble in the middle of a pond and watching the waves go out. Well, the nodal points of those waves are the planets. It gets weaker and weaker as it comes out. Anyway, back to this 24-hour sun stuff, this final experiment, understanding how the sun works. You've got to understand the sun moves between here over the year, the ecliptic plane, in between this gap here. All due to the central vortex of creation, this vortex here. And it's all about compaction and expansion. That moves like the pumps. And so it's a vortex, so it doesn't pump, but it's got this pumping mechanism that we call pump. Up and down. So that goes up and down, this comes in and out. So the sun could be there for the northern hemisphere solstice, then it comes right out here for the southern hemisphere solstice. Right out in the southern hemisphere solstice is the sun all the way around here, infinitely. When it gets back up in here, it's in the north. So you have to understand this big blob, like a big balloon, getting pushed out, push it down and out, and pushes all the air out here. Then it pops back up. Probably can't see that on the camera. Never mind. So, because everything's a mirrored effect, so if the sun's around this side, on the other side of the flat earth system, then it'll be on the other side of this southern field. This is where you get your 24-hour sun. The midnight sun will be on this side. Right at this side. Here. Right out here. Not the northern hemisphere. If it's on this side, it's out on this side. Mirrored. That's not a very good example, is it? You've just got to imagine this minute movement of the sun here is depicted here. So when the sun is going around out here in this tropical zone, solstice zone, December, it's down and out. It just stays, it's in that zone. The magnetic field, because the sun follows the magnetic field. It's the flux of the magnetic field. And the sun only appears at these points, which are infinitely, but man only sees as one image. It's in many places. So you could draw the sun all the way around there. It's everywhere. There, 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 there. But it's moving out over the air and coming back in. So it's out here in the air, and then it moves back in. Right up into here. Down and out, up and in. This is down and out, then it moves back up and in. That's what the pyramids is all about, showing us how things are working. So you got to just realize you're on this one meridian, wherever you are on Earth, that's your line. This is the line. Okay? They create the ball on the tilt because to explain this in and out of the flux of the central vortex up and down creates in and out. Remember, creation is we're inverted to creation. So look, reflections of the projections. Understanding everything is a reflection. So the first projection is from here out to the tropical zone. That's what science tells us. Call it the ecliptic plane. But think about it. Go and look at their model and show me where the plane is. There's no plane. is a passageway. Passageway where things come in like this and then get released out this way. It's not a plane. No, because they know the flat earth plane, the 2D plane of reality, which is hidden in here, the 2D plane. Calling this ecliptic plane. It's not a plane. All the ancients called this all sorts of things, like the street, the sea, the Jordan. Each side was the Euphrates. Look up there. The meaning of Euphrates etymologically is the banks, the tree-lined banks or whatever. You know, these comedy, these guys here, what a bunch of clowns. You know, they must get paid a lot of money, eh? Simon Dan, Bob the Science Guy. I haven't seen him for a while though. Dave McKeegan, Professor Dave. This guy Toon, oh my god, this guy here, he knows nothing. Yet he's up there as confident as anything, spinning scientific garbage, make-believe, false science. Like I've said in the past, I don't know why flat earthers even bother talking to them. It's just all ego tripping, load of rubbish. So look into this yourself, understand mythology. It's all describing the whole flat earth system, all of religion. You know, this ball here, it's a bit satanic, because what they've done with this model is they haven't told you the whole truth, and by doing that they're keeping you away from understanding the meaning to life, which is connected to the Bible, and the Bible is about physics, the physics of our flat earth, and man's consciousness existence is also related to the flat earth design. You're not getting to understand the meaning to life and your connection as man to the earth until you understand the whole flat earth design and how it all works. You're not going to find the meaning to life. They've taken it away from you and put it in the hands of NASA and the Freemasons. You people need to wake up, understand what's going on. What else can I say? The spirograph. There's another word too that describes that shape, that toroidal field collapsing down to a flat plane, then you pull it back up, down to a flat plane, pull it up. I think Ken Wheeler's got one, and Ken Wheeler's site shows you the ferrocell, the 3D depth, looking down from above, that magical zone that Earth is from, we all come from. Now you go back to the centre of creation here, and I'll just see if you can see this bit here. Yes, you can. You've got to understand this ecliptic plane here, right back in the centre of creation. And it flexes. That's the 2D plane at the top of the 3D vortex. There's the 2D plane. There's the vortex that comes out of the north. There's the 2D plane. Well, that plane flexes. So if the magnetic field is down and out like this, then the sun moves down and out. It means it'll be all the way around the south when it's down and out. So the sun will be furthest out on the ecliptic plane, which pushes the sun out in our realm, right out there. It's been pushed out here. You've got to see this model in sort of three aspects. There's a celestial, the perceived physical, and the metaphysical, from the mind. Everything's from the mind anyway. And then when it flexes back up, the sun's up here in the June solstice, December solstice. It's just this flexing of the plane. Remember, it's vertical, out here's horizontal. Ecliptic. Ecliptic. So how and why we get the 24-hour sun? People want you to make models of it. It's too hard to make a model. I could do a perspex model showing you the motions of the stars and how it all works, and then at the end of the day, one of these lines here is the Milky Way. It curves just like that, and that's why it's called the firmament. It's a lot firmer than the background stars all drawn in here. See, science knows the whole flat earth model. That's why they talk about their background stars. How can there be background stars in their model? Because they know outside of here are background stars, because they move slightly slower than all the stars in here. This is the firmament. It's firmer. Well, but sometimes the rest of the sky is called the firmament. So maybe they haven't described it properly, but the whole Bible is about one divine event, and it's the alignment of this Milky Way with this alignment, Milky Way. It's a firmer set of stars, the Milky Way. We break down the Milky Way. That's over my Patreon. This goes into great depth on my Patreon. Tomb of Illumination. Firmament is the Rakia. Ra, the sun. Kia breaks down to a lot of things to suggest it's the same thing. The key, the colour green, mentions sound, lots of things on my Patreon. So it's very hard to go any further, describe it any better than this. Understanding this point. In and out of the ecliptic plane. In and out. This is how man sees it. That's his point. That's his midday or midnight. Right there. Comes in like this, then goes out. Starts getting warped away. So this is why he's on this meridian line. Everything starts warping away, but coming into the next guy's horizon, you know. Going down on his horizon, coming up over his horizon, over and down his horizon. It's a meridian. And that meridian is basically one of these, like that. So you could say Arctic to Antarctic. Antarctic. From meridian, that is, and then you've got to put the, see, man is in the centre there, and on the earthly system there's the centre there. So you got yeah, so I've been saying this represents the black hole right back at the centre here of creation. But you've got to realise there's the South Pole, and which is probably alright, yeah, and that spins out of here all the way over to there to create the sun. There's the sun between the two. That's where you see the sun, it's in the Milky Way. It's between these two Milky Ways here. But we don't see the Milky Way during the day, do we? No. But everything breaks down again, like this model here. You see your own Milky Ways. So you'll see your Milky Way in your southern hemisphere. This guy sees a Milky Way in the northern hemisphere. Two sides of it, two ends of it. And the back of the sun, Sagittarius A. The white cloud is in behind it. Called the Gigentian. White cloud in behind. The Sagittarius A. See how it breaks down? and then it breaks down again to little old man way down getting his own little, that's the world around him. That's what he sees, the alignment. So understanding why they have the globe, it's an easy way, or the best way to describe it to those who don't want to go too deep, but you need to go deep to understand the meaning to life. So this is a good model, but it's not actual fact. You don't live on the outside of the spinning ball, do you? No. Our sky is shaped like this. It's the toroidal field. I've just drawn you the magnetic field. I've drawn you the Earth that's down below there. So there's the Earth, and then it's all depicted by GP. These ground positions is what maps out the entire flat Earth, because as above, so below. But these fit into Earth down below because Earth is these curving lines here. It's not a direct line. You can't fit this big curve on one flat straight line, but you can if you start following the curving magnetic field of the toroidal field. Okay. Share this. If you don't share, it's not going anywhere because YouTube's shutting it down. There's just nothing happening. Well, I don't earn any money on this. There's no point in me even hanging around there. So I put up a lot of videos just for my Patreon members now. So anyway, don't forget, if you like that sort of thing, put the likes up and share it. Subscribe maybe. That's as far as I go today. Thanks very much. See you later.